Do both of you mind stating and spelling your name?
Suzanne McBride, Suzanne, McBride, Mcbride, and I'm Dean of the School of Graduate Studies and a Professor of Journalism.
Perfect.
I'm Yonty Friesem, Yonty and Friesem. So my title thing is going to change, but for now, let's use my title. I'm the Civic Media Program Director, or the graduate, like the Communication Graduate Program Director.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I'll just dive into questions. I think for a lot of students, the term civic media, it may even be confusing. Do you want to sort of talk about like what that means as it relates to like the program and the department for students who may not know?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So civic media is an academic term that was coined in 2006 by then professor at MIT, Henry Jenkins. And it compiled basically any media practice that encourage civic engagement, which is so broad that can include a lot of stuff. Since then, obviously, a lot of things changed, and there is different definitions. But for us, the program is really to learn to use media in a smart way to drive social change. That's the way that we're teaching. So that's like the short kind of thing. And that's why civic media is not so much known because, again, it's from academics. But in the practice, people are familiar with that term. And when you have a degree in civic media, people understand that that's what you're doing. It's making media to bring change in a specific community, in the city, using technology, using journalism, using documentary, a lot of different, websites, infographics, all of that.
Perfect. And then I guess specifically, like, we're focusing on for, like, the communication department newsletter and, like, letting students know about the civic media program. Do you want to talk about how the, like, 4+1 program in particular got its start for those who may, like, again, be unfamiliar with it?
I'm happy to take that one, Yonty. So a few years ago, the college created this 4+1 program, and we're lucky enough that two of the programs, both graduate degrees in the communication department, are part of that combined 4+1. And then there's also another degree in the business and entrepreneurship department that also students can do the 4+1. And it's a really wonderful way for students who want to complement what they're studying at the undergraduate level, or perhaps have that added graduate expertise in an area that is not what they're pursuing at the undergraduate level. And so after 5 years, a student, if they follow, each semester's curriculum map, can actually leave Columbia College with both an undergraduate degree in the area of their choice, as well as a graduate degree in one of these three programs.
Perfect. And so do you want to talk about like a little bit of like how the program works and what a sort of roadmap for students would look like if they choose to enroll, and sort of what they can expect?
So just for me, the two important messages in the newsletter, which again, thank you for doing that. I'm reading it every time.
It's very
me too.
So the 2 points that are the most important, I think, for students to understand, because it's complicated and the register office is part of it. So it's not an easy path to go through the bureaucracy. But at the end of the day, students need to know two things. And those two things are, they need to have 12 electives credit open in their junior year and senior year for that. So that's the first criteria, so that they just know if they don't have that, they will be disqualified. Mm-hmm. So that's like a barrier, kind of a gate to know to do that. And the second thing is that the way it works is that your senior year, you're starting to work 2 classes each semester, the fall and the spring, or the spring and the fall, depending. You can do you can do a spring start. So if you graduate in December, you could do in a different way. But so you're going to do classes that are graduate classes with graduate students that are related to a topic that you're interested in. So civic media specifically is connected with the communication major and the journalism and the photojournalism. And we had students who took those majors who came to the program. And it continues what they're doing, but also advertising and others, like in other majors. But that's the idea. The idea is that if you have those 12 electives that are free for you, and by the way, if they're communication major, specifically the communication major, they can have less because 2 of their capstone project can count as that. There is a way to kind of, so it's even better for communication major. But those are the 2 things to really know, and then we can go into the details. So sorry, Suzanne, that I...
Oh, that's super critical. The fact that you do need to, be thinking about this pretty early on. In fact, right now we really are encouraging freshmen and sophomores to be thinking about it, because really by the time you're a junior, it's almost too late. And that's often because students, depending on when they take their electives, they've already used all or most of their electives, and that's where some of this is going to be carved out, depending on, what their undergraduate major is. So it's really critical just to underscore what Yonty was saying, that, if someone's even remotely interested, like, don't wait. You want to reach out now and let us know. And people are welcome to contact the graduate school, or they can, directly contact Yonty if they'd like. But we really do need to hear from people early so that we can immediately figure out if it's something that's going to work in their curricular, their curriculum here for the 4 years or not.
Yeah, perfect. So as much as this is also like about the Civic Media program, we also sort of put this in the newsletter as a feature to sort of talk about the faculty in the department and the work that they're doing. And I know you both gave your titles just sort of at the top of this interview, but like sometimes for students, like what does that title really mean? And so I wanted to, or at least if you wanted to, talk a little bit about sort of your day-to-day responsibilities within the program and sort of your individual involvement, so students can get more an idea of like the work that you're doing in the department for Civic Media, or just in general. Obviously for you, Suzanne, since you do a lot.
Okay. Well, I don't have as much day-to-day dealings with the department, sadly, although it's still my home department. And one of the most exciting things I did in recent years when I was chair of the department was helping develop the Civic Media program. And we were very lucky to get Dr. Friesem to come teach here with us and help lead this program, given the work that he's done. It's a fairly new area of study, and there aren't a whole lot of people across the country, engaged at the level that he's at, and also in the academy doing this kind of work. So that's a really special thing that we have Dr. Friesem. And then we also have a dean in the School of Media Arts, Dr. Eric Friedman, who also has a great deal of interest. In fact, he also helped develop the degree, this graduate degree, not long after he arrived. So that's one thing I want folks to know. The other thing I want students to know is that just like everyone else, all the students, all of us are also still engaged in our work. So I run a local news website on the west side called Austin Talks, named after the neighborhood of Austin. And I have a graduate student every semester, and sometimes undergraduates as well, working with me, also during the summer months as well, to help empower this community to tell stories about, stories that aren't being told by the mainstream media, and also empower everyday residents to be able to tell their own stories. So that is, one way that I do civic media and engage with the community pretty deeply. And then I also work part-time as an editor for the Chicago Sun-Times. So on Sundays, I run the desk helping, put the paper to bed, so to speak, and get everyone ready for that Monday print edition. And then I also, on many Fridays, am helping write editorials for the editorial board and editing copy for the op-ed and editorial pages. So that's what I do when I'm not attending meetings.
So specifically with Civic Media, because I think that's relevant for the short kind of article you're going to write, students who come to the Civic Media can, like every graduate students, work with the faculty and either assistantship. And one of the opportunities, which have been amazing in the last 3 years, have been working with Suzanne on Austin Talks. So that's a Civic Media project. So, putting a link to Austin Talks and look at what, all the students that worked with Suzanne. So that's actually like almost a daily kind of work that Suzanne is overseeing. So in addition to being a dean and working at the Chicago Sun-Times, she also oversees Austin Talks, which is part of the Civic Media program. And for me, I'm working in addition to the Media Education Lab. And so work that we're doing is we're creating a lot of opportunity for youth media, doing either research or resources for organizations. And that's also part of Civic Media to encourage youth to have their voices. So that's also an opportunity for students to have international work. Like we just got yesterday a visiting scholar from Paris who's coming to be with us for 5 months.
Cool.
And he's doing that work in Paris, but he wanted to come to Chicago to the Civic Media program to learn what we're doing to inform his civic media work there. And again, I'm getting a lot of, I'm working now with somebody from India to do that. And so those are part of the opportunity that are also international, local, but also international to engage in civic media work.
Yeah, perfect. I think one of the things that you brought up, you mentioned sort of the faculty that are teaching in the Civic Media program, and a lot of them looking at the list that's on the website for Civic Media, which I'll also end up being attaching to this little feature I'm going to put in the newsletter. A lot of those faculty members are people who are already in the department that sort of students may be familiar with. I saw, Sharon Boyd-Peshkin, who I know I've been in classes with. And do you want to sort of talk about because I think that can be a big pull for people, because especially current undergrad students, there's some teachers that you spend a lot of time with and develop connections with, and knowing you're going to be continuing with them and working with them now in a little bit of a new capacity. Do you sort of want to talk about what those faculty members are doing within the Civic Media program and sort of highlight some of the things, I guess, that they
So
can
I'll
do?
highlight 4, just do it quickly, because there's many more, but you're not going to be able to go over it. And we're revising some of the names. Most of them are. But Sharon's class on solution journalism, that's a class that got all the civic media students to publish their work, which some of them were not interested, specifically to be journalists. But it was a great experience for them to share their work and to do investigative reporting from a solution journalism perspective on social issues. So that's, and Sharon is one of the experts in solution journalism education. She's teaching other educators to be solution journalism educators. So she's really one of the top. So that's amazing. We have Grace Choi, who is teaching about social media and digital strategy and how to use it. So how to use TikTok challenges, for example. And she's advising students, teaching them about research methods, like how to take data and to move it into digital strategy to help a community and to do social change. We have Robert Hansford, that he's from the HHSS, the Humanities, History, and Social Sciences. And he's working with the Black Music Center. And students who are working with him, understanding of how to use arts from a history of legacy, to address issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have Jeff Spitz, that is not there, but he's going to be added. He's going to teach in the summer. And he worked with the Navajo tribe for 20 years now, changing the way that the federal government is mining uranium and creating huge issues of cancer and health there. And through a documentary work, he's been able to fight back, and the federal government acknowledged what they did and created the whole program to support the Navajo tribe. And he's still doing a lot of work. He has a new series now of the first African-American kiss in movies that was done in Chicago, in the building that was where the student center was.
Oh, wow.
So he has a whole series that is fascinating, that our civic media students are helping him produce those 3 events with the Chicago History Museum together. So, and this is only 4, right? So the list goes on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, as Suzanne was saying, all the faculty are doing civic media work. It's very exciting to, in the classes, take part in it and learn that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, there can be, especially for students that are considering and are sort of deciding, like, what it is that they want to do, whether they want to, like, go right out into the industry as, like, finishing an undergraduate degree, or sort of maybe sticking around and doing, like, a grad program. And I think you've talked about a lot of the benefits here in terms of, like, the stuff that's going on within the civic media program. But, like, if there's students that are sort of weighing that and aren't really sure, like, what the best options are for them, what do you think some of the benefits are to, like, taking on grad school in comparison to just, like, trying to, like, apply for a job?
So Suzanne was talking about 3 programs that are 4+1, and I like to simplify things. So the way I explain it, which I'm sure several people will be really, is if you want to do your art or the work, the craft that you're doing to bring social change, take civic media. If what you want to do is to work on marketing, on, like, branding, on working in agency, take the strategic communication. If you want to create your own organization, your own nonprofit, or your own initiative, take the entrepreneurship for the creatives. And those are 3 kind of areas that each one of the 4+1 would let you know. And this specific 4+1 financially is amazing because it's almost half of what you would pay for a regular MA. And in addition to that, it's only 2 more semesters to your BA.
Yeah.
So the financial time and the experience that you're getting is just amazing to know about, and we would like more people to know. But obviously, it needs to be something that you want to. Like, don't take it if that's not, what you want to do. So
for sure. And then I guess, like, the last thing, and I feel like, again, you touched on this a little bit, is for students that are interested and they feel like they've listened to this conversation and they're like, I've been sold, how can they get involved and sort of make sure that they can, be on that path to sign up and be able to be a part of this program?
Suzanne, you want me or?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, again, they need to contact basically the graduate school. And that's where they're going to see if they have the 12 credits, understand what happens, like if they're interested, and then they'll talk with the program director to see if that's really what they want and what's the path and which classes, which we're setting up already. So they're ready, and, the whole thing is, it's pretty organized, and there is a specific classes to take in each one. And I think we're working with Craig, we were saying after spring break, but we will have track sheets for 4+1. So actually we would have something that is a little bit easier to understand. Those are the classes you take in the fall, those are the classes you take in the spring, and then as a graduate students, like, that's what you're taking for the additional 2 semesters. So there is a specific path to what are the classes that you're taking.